Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we're going to talk about something huge, how to stop your content from just being, well, noise and turn it into a real, honest-to-goodness growth engine. So let's just start with a really direct question. Is your content just adding to the noise? I mean, think about it. Are you pouring time and money into blogs, videos, social posts, but crickets? If that sounds painfully familiar, you're going to want to stick around. On one hand, you've got what we call the scattershot approach. You know this one, right? You're just throwing content at the wall, hoping something sticks. It feels productive, but it's really just aimless. But on the other side, that's where the magic happens. The data-driven strategy. This is where every single piece of content has a job to do. It's built on research, it has a clear goal, and that is the difference between wasting your time and getting actual results.
And this isn't just my opinion. There's a quote from our source material that just hits the nail on the head. Content is not just king, it's the engine of growth. Without direction, it becomes noise. I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? Your content has the potential to be this amazing engine, but if it doesn't have a strategy, a direction, it's just static in the air.
So what really happens when you're not using data? Well, you end up guessing what your audience wants, and usually guessing wrong. You're throwing your content out there randomly, you have no real way to measure what's working, and the worst part? You're just burning through money and time on stuff that doesn't actually move the needle. Does any of that sound familiar? I bet it does for a lot of you. That, hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There is a solution, and it centers around a new kind of discipline and a specific role that's really shaking things up, the fractional CMO. So what in the world is a fractional CMO? Think of it like this. You get all the brainpower of a top-tier marketing leader, but without the full-time executive price tag. These are specialists who parachute in, look at all the scattered content efforts, and basically transform them into a well-oiled, high-performing machine that can actually scale. And they don't do it with guesswork, they do it with a proven framework. Okay, so what is this framework? It's built on what the source material calls the 4 pillars. You can think of this as the blueprint, the actual architectural plan for building that content growth engine we've been talking about. So here it is, the 4-step process. It all starts with audience research. That research then informs your content plan. You execute that plan with a strategic calendar, and then, this is key, you close the loop with performance analytics. But here's the thing, it's not just a straight line, it's a flywheel. The insights you get from your analytics, they feed right back into your research for the next round. So the engine doesn't just run, it gets smarter and more efficient over time. Let's dive into pillar 1, research. The big idea here is so simple but so often overlooked. Know your audience before you create a single thing. This goes way beyond basic demographics. We're talking about their jobs to be done. Like, what problem are they actually hiring your product to solve? What are they typing into Google at 2 in the morning? The whole goal here is to answer their questions, not just shout about how great your product is. Pillar 2 is all about planning your content to fit the classic marketing funnel. At the top of the funnel, let's call it tofu, your goal is just awareness. Think blog posts, cool videos. Then, in the middle of the funnel, or MOFU, you're looking to nurture those people who are now aware of you. This is where you bring in the beefier stuff, like case studies or webinars. And finally, at the bottom of the funnel, BOFU, it's all about conversion. Think testimonials, product demos. See? Every piece has a specific job to do. Okay, pillar 3, the strategic calendar. And listen, this is so much more than just a spreadsheet with dates on it. It's your operational plan, it's your battle map. But for me, the most powerful part of this is building in workflows to repurpose your content. Think about it. One killer article can become a whole series of social media posts, a segment in your newsletter, maybe even a short video script. This is how you work smarter, not harder. And that brings us to the final pillar, number 4, performance and analytics. This is where the whole data-driven thing really comes home to roost. Once your content is live, you have to track what actually matters. And I'm not talking about vanity metrics like likes. I mean real stuff, traffic, keyword rankings, the paths people take to convert, and the holy grail, attribution. Which piece of content actually helped close a deal? This feedback loop is everything. It's what lets you stop guessing and start optimizing for real ROI. Okay, theory is great, right? But does this stuff actually work in the real world? You Bet it does. Let's look at a case study from the source material, Seed to Scale. This is a perfect example of turning all this research and planning into cold, hard results.
So here's the situation. Seed to Scale, they're a media arm for a venture capital firm. They wanted to boost their organic reach and get more bang for their ad buck. The problem? They were creating stuff, sure, but there was no strategy, no data-driven plan connecting it all. It was just content.
So what was the fix? They brought in a fractional CMO who put that 4-pillar framework into action. They started with that deep dive audience research, which then dictated a content calendar strategically designed for both Google Search and LinkedIn. Suddenly, all the pieces were talking to each other. They had a plan. And the result? Get this, an 87% improvement in non-branded organic traffic. Let that sink in. That means 87% more people were finding them through search who didn't even know their name to begin with. That is a massive leap in finding a new audience. And the craziest part? This happened in just 3 months. It just goes to show how powerful this data-driven approach is and how fast it can work.
All right, so now let's turn the camera back on you. How can you figure out if your own content is really pulling its weight? Let's run through a quick diagnostic.
First thing to ask yourself, are you publishing consistently? You're on the content treadmill, but your traffic or your leads have just flatlined? That is the #1 symptom of activity without strategy.
Second, take a hard look. Is there any real clear connection between the content you're making and how your customers actually buy from you? If you can't look at a blog post and say, this helps a potential buyer at this specific stage, that's a huge red flag. And last one, how does it feel? Does your content production feel reactive? Like you're always chasing the latest trend or scrambling to get anything out the door? That's the opposite of a proactive, strategic plan, and it's a fast track to burnout and mediocre results.
All of this really boils down to one final critical question you need to ask your team and yourself. Is your content just an activity, or is it a performance asset? Is it just something on your to-do list, or is it a strategic tool that's actively generating a measurable return for your business? Answering that question honestly is the very first step toward building a true content engine that actually drives growth.